launching a 40-pound granite stone on ice. Then another person takes a broom and sweeps the ice to make it smooth to try and score points. Just another fun fact from WCWT Centerville, 107.3 FM, the voice of the Elks.
WCWT would like to thank Special Touch Talent Dance Studio for their support of our radio station. The Dayton community voted Special Touch Talent as the best dance lessons in 2023 for their commitment to creating a space where everyone is welcome to express themselves through dance. Whether you're a young aspiring ballerina or a seasoned dancer, Special Touch Talent is the perfect place to immerse yourself in the world of dance, build confidence, and express yourself through the art of movement. Special Touch Talent offers a wide variety of dance styles for students 3 years old and up. Join the annual national dance team or begin your journey of recreational classes. Everyone finishes the year side by side to put on the summer recital. Special Touch Talent can be found at 3120 Woodman Drive or right next to Woodman Lanes in Kettering. Thank you to Special Touch Talent Dance Studio for underwriting this broadcast.
You're sitting in your room after a long and tiring day of practice. Your phone vibrates and you answer the call, smiling a bit because you know who it is. Then you hear those words you never imagined you'd hear so soon. "I'm pregnant," your girlfriend says. You try to convince yourself it isn't true. She tells you she wants to keep the baby, and you're forced to think about how this is going to change things. You need to find a job. You have to quit the team. You know you won't have much time to study for your classes. Your entire future has just changed. There's more to an unexpected pregnancy than what we've heard. Men are just as emotionally affected as women. Please think before you go beyond everything but, or you'll have to play a role that you shouldn't be playing for at least another 10 or 15 years.
Clouds are rolling in this afternoon, but we remain dry as temperatures make their way up to 48 degrees. There's a glimpse of sunshine expected, so that's what's helping to warm us up since we have that north wind. But we've got an area of low pressure that's down to our south, and it's going to stay to our south, but as it moves to the north and east, it brings our southernmost counties, mainly along I-71 and south, the opportunity for a few snowflakes and raindrops. Don't expect much in the way of accumulation. 29 as we roll into the overnight and into tomorrow morning, a few snowflakes expected, flurries. That's it, as we make our way up to 41 tomorrow afternoon. I'm meteorologist Britley Ritz for WCWT 107.3 FM, Centerville, the voice of the Elks.
Hello, my sentient noodles, and welcome to this week's episode of SCUBA, where we dive deep into history and current events. I'm Hailey, a junior here at WCWT Centerville, and welcome to the Rover episode rerun. Now it's time to strap on your air masks, check your flashlight batteries, and 3, 2, So a few weeks back, the system crashed mid-show and we went dead. And I thought we could give my Rover friends a second chance at getting famous on a student-run nonprofit radio show, the maker of all great celebrities. So let's recap. The U.S. has landed 5 rovers on Mars: Sojourner, Spirit, Opportunity, Curiosity, and Perseverance. And China has their Zhurong rover as well. All 5 of the American rovers have names picked from essays written by grade school students across the country. They're short essays, usually just a paragraph or two, but they're really inspiring. I have managed to trawl the depths of the interwebs for the essays, so let's take a look. We're not narrating today, so hang in there. First up, Sojourner. The essay was written by Valerie Ambrose, a 7th grader in Connecticut. The prompt: choose a heroine to whom to dedicate the rover. Write an essay about her accomplishments and how those could be applied to the Mars rover. This essay was the hardest to find because it was 1997 when the rover's name got announced. There wasn't exactly a ton of internet access, and I couldn't feel collegiate archives into thinking I was an official researcher long enough to get a scan of the essay. It has not been digitized yet. However, we have a good handful of quotes that I've managed to stitch together. Before Sojourner was Sojourner, the project was called Pathfinder. Ambrose's essay, or at least the chunks of it I have access to, reads: "It's only logical that the Pathfinder be named Sojourner Truth because she is on a journey to find truths about Mars. The Pathfinder should have strong personalities in order to go under harsh conditions, like that on Mars. Truth, while on tours, went under many harsh conditions. Even before, she went under harsh conditions as a slave. Be nice to her grammar. She was 12, and I have probably made unwritten mistakes." So, Sojourner Truth. She was born into slavery, then escaped in 1826 with her infant daughter around age 30 after a lifetime of abuse. 2 years later, she won a case against a white man in court to regain her son. Her name was Isabella Baumfree, but she renamed herself Sojourner, meaning traveler. She converted to Christianity and claimed that God had set her free, and now he was calling her to travel and speak his truths. Truth was charismatic and drew crowds when she spoke in favor of abolition, women's rights, and religious tolerance. Her most famous speech was delivered off the cuff, called Ain't I a Woman? And it's actually better recorded and more readily available than Ambrose's essay. In a record by a reverend present at the time, Truth reportedly said, I have as much muscle as any man, and can do as much work as any man. I have plowed and reaped and husked and chopped and mowed, and can any man do more than that? I have heard much about the sexes being equal. I can carry as much as any man, and can eat as much too if I can get it. I am as strong as any man that is now. As for intellect, all I can say is, if a woman have a pint and a man a quart, why can't she have her little pint full? You need not be afraid to give us our rights, for fear we will take too much, for we can't take more than our pint will hold. The poor men seems to be all in confusion and don't know what to do. Why, children, if you have woman's rights, give it to her and you will feel better. You will have your own rights, and they won't be so much trouble. That man over there says that women need to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches and to have the best place everywhere. Nobody helps me any best place, and ain't I a woman? Anyhow, Truth fought her entire life through harsh conditions with a strong personality and sharing the truth exactly as Ambrose dreamed for the Pathfinder rover. Before we talk about the Curiosity, which is not the next chronologically, but the one that I picked to go next with my magical, only person involved in the process powers, here's a song that I love, Cassiopeia by El Cordova, because we are all just sad little astronauts.
It's a pretty good view on the moon tonight as the sun's going down on the satellite. The earth hangs around my old friend in the sky. She knows I'm a poor castaway. I weep to think what I've become since I crash landed down in the Calcium. Reached for the stars, but I couldn't choose one. 'Cause here I am bound to remain. I was looking for Cassiopeia. I was searching for gold in the sky. Through my telescope I hope to see her, if only to wish her good night. It's dinner time on the moon again, and the candles won't light without oxygen. So I eat by the glow of the world that I left. I wonder if it's still the same. Now that's not to say I'm alone out here. There are hunters and archers and charioteers, and they're flung through the night like I'm flung through the years. I hear them all calling my name. I'm still searching for old Ursa Minor. I've been tracking the prints in the sky. Through my telescope I hope to find her, if only to wish her good night. Yes, and where'd you go, Cassiopeia? All found were your tears in the sky. In my dreams I know I am gonna meet you, if only to tell you I tried.
Alright, next up is Curiosity, which launched in 2011 and is still active. She was named by Clara Ma, a 6th grader from Kansas, whose essay read, Curiosity is an everlasting flame that burns in everyone's mind. It makes me get out of bed in the morning and wonder what surprises life will throw at me that day. Curiosity is such a powerful force. Without it, we wouldn't be who we are today. Curiosity is the passion that drives us through our everyday lives. We have become explorers and scientists with our need to ask questions and to wonder. I am absolutely certain that the scientists judging the panel have a soft spot for this girl, because that is exactly how people who are passionate about science describe the call. So part of why I have a tendency to get overly emotional about robots is how much we anthropomorphize them. There's art, they get names, and though Curiosity's mission was searching for signs of life, analyzing soil, and tracking water and solar cycles, the scientists had some fun with her too. Thousands of people watched as a stream from the surface of Mars became available in 2012, to the point that the NASA site crashed. People gathered in Times Square to watch the footage on the Jumbotron, and President Obama even called the team from Air Force One to say, "You guys are examples of American know-how and ingenuity. It's really an amazing accomplishment." But beyond that, when Curiosity had spent a full Earth year on the surface of Mars, she audibly played Happy Birthday to herself in the cold and dark. This is the first human music in space. We finally gained capability to broadcast audio. And do we play our own voices? No. We fill the vast unknown with music, and I think that is incredibly beautiful. Curiosity has also taken some selfies available online because this is an audio-only medium. We love Curiosity, who walked or rolled so Perseverance could run, or roll slightly faster. Perseverance was initially called the Mars 2020 rover, and it was a bright spot during the pandemic. While we were all stuck at home, there were still scientists trying to figure out how to explore space. Perseverance, affectionately called Percy, was named by Alexander Mather, a 7th grader in Virginia. His essay reads, "Curiosity, insight, spirit, opportunity. If you think about it, all of the names of the past Mars rovers are qualities we possess as humans. We are always curious and seek opportunity. We have the spirit and insight to explore the moon, Mars, and beyond. But if rovers are to be the qualities of us as a race, we miss the most important thing, perseverance. We as humans evolved as creatures who can learn to adapt to any situation, no matter how harsh. We are a species of explorers, and we will meet many setbacks on the way to Mars. However, we can persevere. We, not as a nation, but as humans, will not give up. The human race will always persevere into the future." That's really, really beautiful. And the fact that it was written by a 7th grader, oh my gosh, he's my age now. During the pandemic, I'm sure I don't need to tell you how uncertain it was, how scary it was to live under a lockdown and not know if you were going back to school, if your world would reopen at all, if the people stuck on cruise ships would survive. But we persevered. Here we are, 4 years after the fact. We survived, thanks to the scientists who dedicated themselves to solving the problem. Percy's tasks are to search for signs of life, gather rock and regular, which is Mars dirt, samples to save for a future mission to take back to Earth, and to test oxygen production to see if Mars could one day support humans. She's out there still with Curiosity, rolling around the red planet and doing their wonderful robot science. It's nearly time for our next dynamic duo, but first, here is Space Oddity by David Bowie.
Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom. Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. Ground control to Major Tom. 7, 6, commencing countdown, engines on. 3, 2, check ignition, and may God's love be with you. This is ground control to Major Tom. You've really made the grade, and the papers want to know whose shirts you wear. Now it's time to leave the capsule if you dare. This is Major Tom to ground control. I'm stepping through the door, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way, and the stars difference today. For here am I sitting in a tin can, far above the world. Planet Earth is blue and there's nothing I can do. Though I'm past 100,000 miles, I'm feeling very scared. And I think my spaceship knows which way to go. Tell my wife I love her very much. She knows. Ground control to Major Tom, your circuit's dead. There's something wrong. Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear me, Major Tom? Can you hear? Am I floating on my tin can? Planet Earth is blue, and there's nothing I can do.
See, the first time we missed that whole wacky outro. Have to do it again. Okay, spirit and opportunity. These are my real tear-jerkers in more than one way. If you know me, and let's be real, if you're listening, you know me, you'll know that my family adopted a 9-year-old girl from China in 2019. My little sister Avery passed away from cancer in early 2023, and the 4 years she spent with us were long enough to get a good handle on English, but carried some idiosyncrasies. This essay, the one for Spirit and Opportunity, the twins, was written by Sophie Collis, a 9-year-old who had been previously adopted from Russia into a family from Arizona. Her essay is very, very short, but I can hear my sister's voice in it. I used to live in the orphanage. It was dark and cold and lonely. At night, I looked up at the sparkly sky. I felt better. I dreamed I could fly there. In America, I can make all my dreams come true. Thank you for the spirit and the opportunity. Just 50 words, but wow. Another thing that hits me like a gut punch is our universal love of space. Sure, not everyone gets worked up over Marie Curie or frogs, but our space missions draw the entire world's attention and bring the country together. What kid didn't have a dream of going to space? Who hasn't looked at the stars? The little girl in a Russian orphanage, the billionaire with an inability to name things. And I'm going to wager every single one of you divers has a soft spot for the sky and what's in it. Maybe because of what it represents, or just because it's pretty. But we love space. Spirit was the older twin, sent to do as much geology as we can do without actually getting our hands on rocks. Spirit's mission was supposed to last 90 Martian days, or around 92 Earth days, but its solar cells were able to power her for far longer than expected. She lasted 20 times that, until 2011 when she was officially declared gone. Spirit got stuck in soft sand, and NASA scientists spent a majority of 2009 trying to help regain the traction to set herself free. The next year, when they realized it was fruitless, they left Spirit stationary, still trying to do science until her battery powered down fully. Spirit was officially declared gone in 2011 because she got too cold. And then Opportunity, in true younger sibling fashion, watched Spirit astound the world with its long mission and proceeded to live for 14 years to Spirit's 5. She was also doing geology, but searching for water at the same time. Oppie, as the world called her, was so much older than the world had expected her to get when a massive dust storm swept up on Mars. Her solar panels were covered in a couple days, but her team didn't give up hope. She'd survived 14 years rather than 90 days. When wind was detected nearby, they got ready to send more commands through to see if they could wake her up. The team even made her a playlist, featuring Wake Me Up Before You Go Go by Wham!, Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles, and Space Oddity by David Bowie, which we heard earlier along with others. It's available on Spotify under the name Opportunity Wake Up, if you're interested. It's a good mix. Regardless, Oppie didn't wake up. After hundreds of attempts to contact her, the only message sent was, "My battery is low and it's getting dark," which anthropomorphizes her further. It almost sounds like she was a little kid afraid of the dark, and her team spent all the time they could staying with her, playing her the music they loved. Finally, after it was clear that Opportunity wouldn't wake up, they played her one final song, I'll Be Seeing You by Billie Holiday.
I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places that this heart of mine embraces all day through. In that small cafe, the park across the way, the children's carousel, the chestnut trees, the wishing well. I'll be seeing you in every lovely summer's day, in everything that's light and gay. I'll always think of you that way. I'll find you in the morning sun, and when the night is new, I'll be looking at the moon, but I'll be seeing you. I'll be seeing you in every lovely summer's day, in everything that's light and gay. I'll always think of you that way. I'll find you in the morning sun, and when the night is new, I'll be looking at the moon, but I'll be seeing you.
I'll find find you in the morning sun, and when the night is new, I'll be looking at the moon, but I'll be seeing you. Opportunity was, of course, on Mars, but she was loved by her team, by the science community, and by the internet, determinedly following every step of her and her sister's journey, watching the streams, wishing her well, and even making art. Anyhow, she hits me in the feels. Do you want more space feels? This story isn't about a rover, though. It's about a person. It's okay, we ramble here. Alexei Leonov was one of 20 Soviet Air Force pilots selected to be in the first cosmonaut training group in 1960. He went on the Volkhod 2 mission with Pavel Belyaev and completed the first spacewalk, a 12-minute, 9-second adventure in the void on March 18th, 1965, tethered to the spacecraft. It was broadcast on Soviet radio and television until he tried to go back inside the craft. His spacesuit had inflated beyond what the designers had calculated, and he couldn't fit inside the airlock. The feeds to the country immediately cut off, replaced with Mozart's Requiem, which seems to me like a more concerning thing to hear rather than the struggle, especially as such music was traditionally played after the death of an important figure. But before it was nationally announced, Leonov was no longer being broadcast to his country. He was just stuck outside in space. He opened a valve in his suit and slowly let his air supply leak, in what must have been one of the crowning moments of sheer terror experienced by a human. But luckily he managed to get inside before he ran out fully. Belyaev hurried to calm him down and handed Leonov the only personal items he had brought on the tiny spacecraft: a drawing pad and colored pencils tied together in a ring to make sure they didn't run away. Divers, please look this up, because Alexei Leonov, the first man to be truly out in space, was also the first person to make art there. He drew a simple sketch of how the sun looked at it as it rose over the horizon of Earth, and it is one of my favorite pieces of art, despite being just a few stripes in a circle. Of course, because this was a space mission in the 60s, the journey home was less than calm. When the airlock ejected to send the craft back down to Earth, it set the craft spinning wildly, and the self-guidance system failed. Leonov and Belyaev were forced to land 1,500 miles west of their initial spot in the Siberian tundra. They then proceeded to survive a brutal night in the middle of nowhere in Soviet Russia, sheltering inside their spacecraft, which is nothing short of a miracle, and the rescuers found them the next day. Despite all this, despite the number of times Leonov looked death in the face, he saved his drawing. When giving interviews about the situation, he had the positive attitude to start a sentence with "fortunately," and the rest of his sentence was "Pavel and I were used to harsh temperatures," in regard to their icy night. Anyhow, Leonov's orbital sunrise. Look it up, divers. It's beautiful. Before we get to the relevance of me crying about space, let's take a quick break and go back to the playlist for Opportunity. Those scientists have good taste. Here's Rocket Man by Elton John, because it's lonely out in space.
She packed my bags last night, pre-flight. 0 hour, 9 a.m. And I'm gonna be high as a kite by then. I miss the earth so much, I miss my wife. It's lonely out in space on such a timeless flight. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time till touchdown brings me round again to find I'm not the man they think I am at home. Oh no, 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 I'm a rocket man, burning out his fuse out here alone. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time till touchdown brings me round again to find I'm not the man they think I am at home. Oh no, 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 I'm a rocket man.
Sorry I had to cut that short, we're almost out of time. When I ran this show a few weeks back, Japan had just landed SLIM, the smart lander for investigating moon, on said moon. Scientists have some fun acronyms, y'all, and they're so often such a massive stretch. Slim planned to land in a crater that would have had exposure to the moon's mantle to figure out what might have been inside said moon. Is it really made of cheese? Japan might know soon. Unfortunately, it landed in such a way that its solar cells are not aimed towards the sun, not providing it with power. But this may not mean catastrophe. The Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency, or JAXA, these acronyms, has hoped that it will obtain power soon. In the meantime, they have a rover named Sora Q. She's a tiny little thing, described as weighing about a potato. She's slightly larger than a tennis ball and weighs about 8 ounces. And here's the cool part. She's a transformer. Co-developed with Takara Tomy, the company behind the original 1984 Transformer toy, Sora can pop open and wiggle around, reminiscent of a sea turtle. As is, in her compact form, she looks a little like BB-8, if BB-8 only had one sphere. And continuing our little tradition, Sora is a Japanese name for universe, and Q refers to both a quest and a question. This little droid is on her quest to ask the universe a question. More recently, there is more good moon news. Both Greece and Luxembourg have signed the Artemis Accords, which are treaties designed to increase international collaboration related to space, or more specifically, the moon. Its regulations are restricted to peaceful usage, transparency and free sharing of data, standardization of operating systems, preservation of historic sites, and deconfliction of activities. The Artemis missions aim to land the first woman and next man on the moon and have 35 countries from every single continent signed. I really love the international collaboration born from the space programs. People can do really incredible things. I hope you enjoyed today, divers. Barring extenuating circumstances, this will be the last scuba rerun. Thanks for listening here on WCWT Centerville, 107.3 FM, the voice of the Elks. And now, let's return to the surface so I can pass you on over to Amped Up.